from all over the world, from different time zones. We've had people that come in from India, from Ireland, from England, from Australia, from Canada, and from all of the United States. And I welcome you for such a time as this, for our afternoon's conversation. As people are logging on, I will mention to you that I'm going to be in wonderful conversation with Akuyo Graham. She's an award-winning actor, an author, educator, who is a frequent national and international TEDx speaker, has been featured in numerous independent films, television shows, and commercials, and some movies. I know some movies that she was in. I've seen her. But that's almost the least of who she is. She's a powerful presence. She's the founder of Spirit Awakening Foundation, which she started in 1995. We're going to hear all about it. It's an art-based nonprofit dedicated to helping underserved youth and children in the juvenile justice system realize their value and self-worth. In other words, our culture has a tendency to throw away people. We throw them away in the jail system. We throw them away in the juvenile system. Akuyo is one of those individuals that does not allow these young people's lives to be stolen and thrown away, but to be restored, and bring them to a level of dignity, self-worth, and appreciation, and then great contributors to our society. And she's also an Agape licensed practitioner. She's a great student. I'm going to pull her on. So that we can have some wonderful conversation. Other than that, let your friends know that we're online now. We're live, so that they can tune in and be a part of this expansive conversation that I have every Wednesday at 1 p.m. If you're new to this, then I am Michael Bernard Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center, now in our 35th year, and have been teaching for a number of years. So we're waiting for Akuyo. As I reminding you, Akuyo Graham is the founder of the Spirit Awakening Foundation, and there's a story behind that name, Spirit Awakening, that she will obviously let us in on what that means. And I see Short Rock. I see you. Charlotte, I see you. Diaz, Elise, holding you in prayer. And Yoga with Sally, I see you. And love is not only the feeling, I see you. Carla, see you. Melissa, see you. Wendy Silvers. Hey, Reverend Wendy. High vibrations. So we're just waiting for Akuyo to sign in. Peter, I see you. I'm new. I know you see me. Let me see what's happening with Akuyo. It says unable to join, but I remember we had this issue last week with Gerard Powell, and we finally worked it out. So let me see if we can work this out here. So we'll try it again. So we're waiting for her to. She's connecting now.
Okay.
Hey, Akuyo.
Hey, Reverend Michael. I was just talking to Lee to make sure we were okay. How are you, beloved Dr. Beckwith?
You popped on right on time.
Okay.
And, we're having a little technical difficulties, but here we are with your bright smile.
Oh, Dr. Beckwith, what an honor to be in conversation with my teacher. really.
It's so beautiful because I was thinking yesterday, I was thinking about Black history, and I was thinking about, obviously Black history is actually American history. It's not
That's
just Black
right.
history because of the major contributions that Black folk and brown folk, have actually, contributed to this country called America and to the world,
That's
actually.
right.
And I was just thinking about who am I going to interview? And Jacqueline and I were talking, and Cleo Graham. And I get this note from you. I get this letter from you in the mail, and you gave me this that you sent to me. That was a surprise, and it was beautiful. And so it just seemed like we were on each other's mind in a very powerful
That's
way.
right.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Oh,
And
you're
I've,
welcome,
I've
sir.
my joy to receive and my joy to give. I I've already given them your bio that you're a great actor. Has been a TEDx speaker. Been in a number of independent films, commercials, movies. But you established Spirit Awakening Foundation in
Hmm.
1995, and you're
That's
also
right.
a licensed agape practitioner. But you established this foundation in 1995,
That's
and
right.
I want people to know, you know, Spirit Awakening. Where did the name come from, and what led you? What was your bit of the arc of your history of growth and unfoldment that led to this founding?
Well, the name came from spirit. I don't remember the exact time, but I do remember that I was sitting in the back of the sanctuary. I had already written the play, Spirit Awakening, and you have been so supportive of it. What I want people to know, Reverend Michael would show up. I would be doing these obscure readings of this piece, and there he would be in the audience. And I'm thinking, sometimes it was a Sunday. He's just done, all these services, talked with all these people, thousands of people. It's Sunday evening, and he's here in this hole in the wall listening to a reading of Spirit Awakening. And then he would be very supportive. And so those things were all very encouraging to me. But I was sitting in the back of the sanctuary at Agape. You'd just given one of those brilliant sermons, and I was inspired, and the name Spirit Awakening Foundation. And I thought, okay, I like that name. Sure, Spirit, whatever you want me to do, And I had already started taking classes. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be a practitioner. I just knew that I loved God, and I found my home at Agape. And in fact, in prac class, I don't know if you remember this too, I would always come late. And one day you just looked at me and said, "You better not come late again." And I was so startled because other people were coming late, but you were just like, "Yo, that's okay. You went to stupid with me." You were looking, I was like, "Well, why is he telling me?" But it was a good thing that you did that, Reverend Michael, because had you not, who knows what I would have done. It made me pay attention. It made me pay attention. And I started volunteering my time and thought, okay, the inspiration is to create Spirit Awakening Foundation. Let me do that. And of course, people would hear that and think, Spirit Awakening Foundation, you're not rich, you're not famous. Who do you think you are starting a foundation? I mean, people actually said that to me.
Yeah.
And all I knew was, okay, so they're not the ones to help me because I got it from Spirit, sitting at the back of the Agape Sanctuary. That's enough for me. I'm going to go for it. And Reverend Michael
Right.
supports it, so I'm going to go for it.
Right. Right.
And that was the
And here we
genesis.
are. Let me ask you this. I want to get into the foundation, but before we get into the foundation, I want to get into the one woman play and your arc of your own growth in terms
Mm-hmm.
of this woman from Ghana.
Yeah.
And what was the name that you had at that time
Well,
before you took your
Charlotte.
Charlotte?
Charlotte. Charlotte.
Give us a little thumbnail sketch of your own growth into yourself.
That's
And
right.
coming under the British
That's
dynamic, and because people, whether you're in England or whether you're in America, there's been many Black people and a lot of Black women who subjugated their identity.
that's
They
right.
hid from themselves in order to assimilate into the larger
Absolutely.
society, and you went through that and grew up and
That's
became
right.
yourself. And I think that's a powerful story, which is why I was at those readings. I was watching your own unfoldment and
That's
watching your own
right.
growth, and it was very, very important because you were a great example for many people. Share a little bit about your own story.
Well, I'm from Ghana, West Africa, and Ghana was colonized by the British. And so in Ghana, many of us Ghanaians have our Ghanaian names, and then we have Western names, and so mine is Charlotte. And Akuyo was my given name, which means blessed woman, Akuyo Amedwane. So when my mother took me to London, Akuyo, I suddenly became ashamed of the name Akuyo. It wasn't Western enough. It wasn't good enough. So I literally, put it aside and became Charlotte. And I had to do that really to survive. I had to become the best version of a British person that I could possibly be. And that was Charlotte. And then I was confirmed in the Church of England and took on the name Catherine. So I became Charlotte Catherine Graham. And I made sure that I always spoke really well because it was a matter of surviving those days in England, in Great Britain. I grew up with a single parent. My mother worked very hard, had many jobs just to make sure that we had everything we needed. But the thing was, it was interesting. My mother always told me that, hey, the world really belongs to you. Even if she wasn't able to accept that fully herself, she wanted me to know that the world belonged to me. And that's why she said she wanted me to travel. So while stationed in London, we traveled to other European countries. And then she brought me to the United States, and she said she knew she had to bring me here because here is where I would find my freedom. And it was great because when I came to New York, we were in a predominantly Black and brown community. And they would look at me with this British accent, and I told them I was from Africa, but my name was Charlotte Catherine Graham, and they were like, that doesn't make any sense. Charlotte Catherine Graham, what kind of African is you? And they gave me hell. But again, God means everything for good. And
Right.
the hellish time I had with those sisters were out of their own pain. Their own having been discarded by a society that did not value them because of the color of their skin, because of their gender. And so, constantly these young girls were looking for other people to lash out at, and I became a big target. But what that did for me was it strengthened me in some ways, and it pushed me into a journey of self-discovery. And so it makes sense that I came to Los Angeles, and I came to Los Angeles, and actually I was working quite a bit, Reverend Michael. I was spotted on the street and put into a play. I got to meet Denzel Washington, Stevie Wonder, all these people. I was doing a TV film, and things were happening. And fortunately for me, I came to Agape, because I needed to really continue the journey of awakening, spiritual awakening. And had I not been at Agape, I would be a very different person, because I know that as a little girl, I loved God. I loved God, and I didn't know how to express it. And Agape made it all make sense for me. So that's sort of how I journeyed.
Well, yeah. And there's a moment in the play where Charlotte, I guess you take off the wig.
Yes.
And you emerge as a akuyo. You actually,
Yes.
There's a moment in the Spirit Awakening play where it's a powerful moment that you actually come to grips with who you really are. And
That's
you embrace
right.
your roots, you embrace your African roots, you embrace your name, and then you embrace your gender, you embrace your color of your skin, you embrace the possibility of what that freedom means.
That's
And
right. That's
so thus
right.
Spirit Awakening was like the perfect name for it because you like woke up
Right. That's right.
from
That's
the
exactly right.
oppressive. Yeah, that was it's very powerful. And I think that particular play, it inspired a lot of people. I mean, because people
Yes.
have a lot of self-loathing, a lack of self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
They're too dark, they're too short, they're too
That's
straight, they're
right.
too gay, they're too whatever.
That's right.
And so everyone's story may be a little bit different, but there's a lot of people trying to fit in and live
Yes.
their life based on other people's opinion of them. But that play, for you, it was your awakening
That's
from
right.
the sisters in New York who were putting you down, the people in Britain who
That's
were
right.
racist, and
Yes.
you had to capitulate and become Charlotte,
Yes.
you exploded on the scene. You exploded in that play, like an explosion. And even though I saw that
Oh,
play, I don't know how many times I've seen the play, okay?
you've seen it so many times, Reverend
But
Michael.
every single time, when you explode and become yourself, it is so meaningful. Plus, you're a great actor, too. It's so
Thank you.
meaningful that it just touches the audience in a very powerful way. And I think it gives them a deep sense of inspiration, and they begin
Yeah,
to look at themselves and see where they're holding themselves back, where are they lying to
exactly.
themselves about their limited possibility,
You
where
know,
are
I
they
have to tell you
capitulating.
something, Dr.
Yeah,
Beckwith. When I first started that play, because it is, it's very provocative
yeah.
piece. And I got great reviews, thankfully. However, a lot of schools and adults were kind of afraid of peace, but children love Spirit Awakening, which blows their minds. And I remember being invited to perform in Boston, and it was the not religious science, Mary Baker Eddy's group,
Christian Science.
Christian Science. And my friend Chet and his wife had invited me, and they were a little bit, apprehensive about some of the moments in the piece. And I told them, I'm not going to cut anything, and either you get the whole thing or I leave. So they said, okay, do it. And his daughter actually loved that piece so much, it transformed her. and
Mm.
and that was the thing. Adults are all, that's why I work with young people, because adults, we're so inhibited, and we care so much about what people think. And as you tell us every Sunday, half the time they're not even thinking about you. But adults, you just get into, oh, I want to be liked by so and so and whatever. And children, just so they get Spirit Awakening and they understand it, they relate to it, and it's been remarkable. And I'm talking about children,
Yeah,
and I remember
yeah.
another place I performed in Malibu. It was a private school. After the piece, the parents and teachers weren't talking to me, but all the kids ran up to me, because people get stuck on some of the moments and some of the way, the phrasing, some of the things I say. Whereas I think children understand the level of freedom that the woman embraces at the end. And
Some
that's where
people
they
are
live.
afraid. Some people are afraid of freedom,
That's
of
right.
a liberated being. You standing
That's
there,
right.
and actually they were afraid of you, and,
That's
and they were
right.
and they're afraid of this strong African woman
That's
being
right.
loving herself in public out loud.
Out loud.
And they said, "Oh
Out
no, we need you
loud.
back in the box. We want you back in the no. We want
Exactly.
sweet Charlotte. We don't want
That's
sweet. We don't
right.
want this powerful woman that believes in herself. Oh my God, no."
That's right. And what taking off the wig, what that represents is not just the woman taking off the wig and saying, I refuse to do that, but it's all of what that wig represents, all the
Yeah.
ways in which we as Black people are asked to demean ourselves, and all the ways in which we are not valued. And so when that wig comes off, you're right, Reverend Michael, it's like, whoa, she's not afraid to stand in
Right.
who she is, and it's what I came to recently with all the George Floyd murder and
Right.
all those things happening. And I wrote a piece for Facebook, and I said, hey, if you have an issue with my Blackness, take it up with God. I'm not apologizing, and it just feels so,
Take it up with God.
because
Let
it's
me ask
like,
you this. I want to get into the foundation, but I understand that there's a possibility that this play may become a filmed one woman
yes,
show. This is in this is
yes.
in the realm of possibility. Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
not only in the realm of possibility, and I guess I can tell you, Reverend Michael, you're one of the producers.
I
It's my
am.
gift to you. Yes, you are, because you've supported me so much. I mean, how could I not? How could you not be? So Nabwire, who's also a member of Agape, Nabwire Butali, Kenyan producer, an extraordinary producer and artist. She's currently doing an incredible documentary for Netflix, but she's going to produce the filming of the one woman play. And again, that's one of the gifts that this COVID time has given. We've been able to look at, well, how do we disseminate art, and how do we get it to people? And I've never really wanted to film the play, because I've always felt that when you videotape a performance of a theatrical performance and put it on a TV, or it loses something. But during this time, we've discovered there's ways to do it to bring cinematic qualities to a filmed performance. And so that's what we're doing. And I'm so excited because it actually lends us, it allows us to open it up in different ways, you know, in terms of music and sound and the scenes. And I am so stoked about this. We start filming in the spring, in probably in April, sometime in April. So I'll keep you posted on that.
So definitely keep us posted, and I'll let people know about it. And now let's segue into the Spirit Awakening Foundation, of which I am so proud of you with what you have done with your life. You said, you know, you were going down the track of being an actor, which you still are. Mm-hmm. But you actually believed that you could go into the juvenile system and reclaim lives that were thrown away. Yes. You have no idea how that makes me feel. Because you're one of the great students. You know, in the season I'm in right now, I'm not an old man or anything like that, but I've been around long enough to have a lot of students. Mm-hmm. And I'm noticing students that are going out and doing great works and making great impact on the planet. There's so many people that have come through Agape and taken classes, and it makes me feel so good. And you're one of those beings. You have actually used your incarnation to affect so many people. Please tell us about Spirit Awakening, the foundation, and the work that you do in the juvenile system and beyond.
Well, thank you so much for that, Reverend Michael. All praises to God, and God in, through, and as you and Agape, this extraordinary beloved community that you have founded, which has healed so many people, I being one of them, and has inspired so many people. You know, I just want to say on the live chat last Sunday, someone wrote, Agape, thank you for bringing such great artists into the world. And it's true. You know, Agape has become a forum where artists, we can go and know that we can do much more than what our society is really asking of us. And art, you know, whether you're acting, singing, talking, you know, life is creativity, life is art. And so, right? And that's right. And so it just makes sense. And in the same ways that I was able to reclaim my voice, in the same way that Agape supported me and lifted me so that I could walk with my head held high, I knew I had a mandate to go and work with young people, especially those young people that have been thrown away, those young people that have been incarcerated. And I had no idea that this country incarcerated so many individuals when I started. I had no idea. You know, that America incarcerates more children than any other country in the world. And I had no idea that, of course,
incarcerate more adults as well.
That's
more
right.
People in prison than China.
That's right. Can you believe that? You know, and most of the people incarcerated are Black and brown. And most of the young people incarcerated are Black and brown. And so I started first volunteering my time, going to the juvenile halls, working with the special handling unit. You know, they used to call them the unfits. Can you imagine being a child and being labeled unfit? Even just that name, you know, and I would go into the classrooms and I would say, do not ever in my presence call yourself unfit. Unfit for what? You know, and it just made me so angry. And so I was able to take the teachings that I was learning at Agape with my teachers, you, Reverend Coco, and all the extraordinary people that I work with, and literally take it into the halls. And I was inspired. What came through was a curriculum called Rites of Passage with a W. And the first level is unmasking your authentic voice, you know, because I felt it was important for these young people, these children, to unmask what I call the authentic voice, to be able to really know who they are. And the first exploration, the first level of our program is, who am I? Who am I underneath my name, underneath my age, underneath the color of my skin? What is my purpose for being alive? And many of them had never been asked that question before. They'd never stopped to ask themselves those questions. You know, if they're in gangs, it made them stop and think, who am I? What am I doing? What am I following this for? I have a voice, and for me, the joy, Reverend Michael, is in witnessing as they begin to wake up and to reclaim their voices and to reclaim their stature and to recover what I call beauty, to recover their beauty, their dignity, their elegance, to recover their, the reasons for their beingness in this world. It's just amazing to me. It's work. I get to do this, as you remind us. I get to do this.
Yeah, and you do it so well. I remember going in with you a couple of times,
That's
and the
right.
amount of respect that the young folks had for you, and you actually teach them how to love themselves
That's right.
and not see themselves as unfit, not see themselves as just a ward of the state or a ward of the county. They don't belong to the juvenile system. They belong to God. They belong to excellence.
That's
They
right.
belong to possibilities. And you bring that with such fierceness. And then we've watched as many people who then come out of the juvenile system come to the Spirit Awakening and become a part of your staff. They become a part
That's
of
right.
volunteer. It's
That's
been
right.
wonderful to watch this. And any
Oh,
particular stories that come to mind when you think about the many countless beings that were tossed away,
oh
thrown
my.
away, and they met you in Spirit Awakening and the staff of Spirit Awakening, and anything come to mind?
Well,
Anything?
Pluto recently,
Yeah,
Sunday, the young man that did the spoken word, I remember meeting Pluto in Juvenile Hall, Silmar. He was facing some hard time. And again, I met him, and it was a gentle soul,
yeah,
this gentle spirit, this beautiful young man. And so I said, young man, here's my card. When you come out, you make sure you contact Spirit Awakening. And what I loved was that Pluto told me that he loved to travel. And so he was spending his time in the hall. Whenever they turned the TV on, he would turn it to a travel channel. And I said, great, what you're doing is you are creative visualization. So we had an incredible conversation, and he kept in touch. So there's Pluto. I mean, there's just so many. Just yesterday, there was a young woman, Mariah, in our mentoring leaders program. We used to do that at Agape, remember?
yeah.
And she gave a testimony. No one asked her, but she said Spirit Awakening literally saved her life.
Mm.
Because we were asking those questions. Mariah, her father was incarcerated. Her mother was challenged with addiction. And at 17, she found herself incarcerated and for stealing and doing really stupid stuff. But she's been left to raise herself, and she was in and out of the systems of foster youth. And so she's been trafficked. I mean, she's been to hell and back. And she said Spirit Awakening was, the writing. She was
Yeah,
able to put pen to paper and ask that essential question, who am I? And she
yes,
said once she did that and she connected with her true self, that was the beginning of everything for her.
yeah,
And she said that yesterday. I was blown away.
right. For those of you who don't know who Akuyo was talking about, Pluto was a young man that we had on Sunday do spoken word artistry. And so if you haven't seen it, you can go to the archives at agapelive.com. And he's at the beginning of the service. I hit the gong 3 times, and then I introduce him. And you can feel his spirit. You can feel his authentic nature, and you can see his own spoken word that he wrote. It's very, very powerful. And
That's
people in
right.
the chat were very moved by him.
That's
And
right.
we gave them spiritawakening.org in order to be in touch with him. And now he's doing a radio program with
That's right.
Marissa,
That's right.
So
People
people
were
were
really
asking, what
blown
is your
away.
social media handle? He says, I'm not on social media. He's just an artist. And
That's
so
right.
that was
Can
really,
you imagine? Pluto was looking at going away for years, Reverend Michael,
yeah,
years.
yeah,
And that's the thing when I'm teaching and other members of my staff are teaching, we have to tell them when you go into that courtroom, you go with your head held high, your feet firmly in the ground. You stand tall because you're representing something, and I said, it may look like your life is in the judge's hands, but actually it's not.
yeah,
Right now the judge may have a say over your next few years or whatever, but your life is not in his hands. So you go in there and you claim that. I mean, it's it's Spirit Awakening, Reverend
yeah.
Michael.
You've changed a lot of lives. So tell us a little bit about. Let me just remind people. We're gonna this interview will end shortly because we know your attention span. You have things to do. I'm going to do a part 2 with Akuyo on Zoom, and then that will be on my app. Part 2 will be on my app. You just go to michaelbbeckwith.com, and it'll tell you all the instructions on how to get the app, and then you'll see the rest of our dialogue along with other interviews I've done with other individuals. But you have something called the Voices of the Unheard.
Yes.
You know, what is that?
Voices of the Unheard is an annual program that we do, which you are kind enough to host for us. He says yes every time, and it's really a celebration.
How am I going to say no to Akuyo Graham? That's basically giving kids back to themselves after our society has stolen it from them. You know,
that's right.
It's modern day slavery, and you're
modern day slavery,
and you're bringing them back. And of course, if I can do it, I will do it. Yeah,
of course. Thank you,
tell
Rev.
people what is the idea behind it, and what is it? I mean, Voices of the Unheard. What is that?
These are unheard voices, literally. These are the voices of the young people that have been through our program, and many of them have come out of incarceration, and we bring them on a stage, on a beautiful stage, whether it's Agape or the Skirball, and we celebrate the written and spoken word, and we do this through music and dance. We bring other guest artists like Reverend Michael and Tyler Conti and so many of our amazing Agape artists.
Hillary Swank is
Hillary
coming
Swank. That's right. Hillary, if you're watching, come back.
Powerful artists, yeah.
That's right. You know, and so every year we do this, usually first week of November, and we gather. This past year we did it virtually, but this year we know we'll be able to gather together again. So please join us when you hear that. Reverend Michael will mention it at Agape, and he'll be there, and we get to celebrate these extraordinary lives. And I just want to say, you know, it's just not anecdotal, you know, stories about these young people. Many of them have gone on to Berkeley, UCLA, USC, Johns Hopkins. You know, they're doing some mighty great things out in the world. These very same young people that our society had thrown away. So this is powerful work.
Right. So the Voices, just so that you know, Voices of Unheard, it's a books as well, but the actual writings of these individuals, they're actually expressed. Akuyo has helped them express themselves. So they have the most profound poetry and journal entries and ways of expressing their darkness coming into the light. And we get to, as artists, we get to read those poems at Voices of the Unheard. And sometimes they're even read by people who were formerly incarcerated.
That's right.
And now they're out and they're on stage reading and really understanding what real spiritual liberation is all about. It's not merely not being in jail. It's actually what you're doing with your life.
That's
You're liberated enough to actually make a difference and contribute. And so she teaches that. Now, before we go with this particular section, when we go on the Zoom, I'm going to ask you for some more stories and some things. But I understand you may be in a capital program.
Yes, we are about to launch our capital campaign, because one of the things the vision I've held for so long is to open spirit home, group homes, a new way to foster young people. So this year we hope to open our first group home, spirit home, for 6 girls. It's not going to be an institution. We're not going to warehouse kids, you know, and throw tons of them together. It's going to be a home. We're going to create a beautiful environment where they can continue their growth work, where they can be mentored. Each girl in the home will have a mentor. You know, some of them I'm sure will want to take classes at Agape, where they can continue to unmask the voice and know who they are. So that campaign will be starting sometime in March. So look out for that. I'm very excited.
So for them to find you, they go to spiritawakening.org.
Yes. They can find me there. Yep.
So I'm asking everybody to do that, just see what she's up to. You might feel inspired to make her foundation one of the places that you give to, because we don't want and don't believe in throwaway kids.
That's right.
Even though the bureaucracy and the justice system is so overburdened that sometimes justice is not met. They just throw people away. Many times Akuyo is one of those individuals. You know, everybody has a gift. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has a dharma. Everybody has what they can do. Akuyo has found what she can do, and she does it with such excellence. And there's been many kids, as she said, that would have been in jail for many years, a burden on society, not contributing, that are now free, that are doing mighty and magnificent things because of the Spirit Awakening Foundation. And it's, you know, we call it our sister, one of our sister foundations, sister organizations, because it's so incestuous, because she has people on her staff that also came out of agape practitioners.
That's right.
So the energy is possibility is always bigger than the problem.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a law. Possibility is always bigger than problem. And we seek to live in possibility, even though the world is saying no. She mentioned that when she tried to start this, many people thought she was off her rocker. She was crazy.
That's right.
How can you make a difference in the juvenile system? It's too
That's
bureaucratic.
right.
There's nothing that can happen. And today, how many years now? Since 1995?
Yep, 26 years. And really quick, Reverend Michael, when I first began yoga, meditation, all the things we're doing, they thought, you know, a lot of people thought I was not only crazy, they said, she's bringing some crazy stuff from Africa. Can you imagine? I mean, I was called quite a few names. Voodoo from Africa, you know, I mean, but anyway, possibility is bigger.
It shows you that sometimes the so-called inmates are more free than the guards.
Hello.
If the actual people that are supposed to be helping think that meditation and mindfulness and yoga is crazy, then, and they're the one taking care of our kids. Oh my God. But you know what I really appreciate now? There's so many people in that system that have high respect for you now.
Yeah.
They've seen your track record.
That's right.
And you know, I remember, I'll let you go so that we can do part two, but do you remember Mel Longmire?
Mel. Yes.
He was a member of our community.
Yes.
He lives in Santa Barbara, and he was a probation officer for years. And he used to bring the individuals that were incarcerated in juvenile hall, he would bring them to agape. And they would be in their orange robe. They couldn't change their clothes. They would actually come in orange, you know, like they were inmates. And they would sit, I would be a part of his teaching. He'd bring them to agape, and then we would meet and we would have dialogue. And he became a subject of a study because they found that the people that were working with him, there was a very low recidivism rate. And that these people would go on to do much better in life. They wanted to know Mel's technique. So they followed him, they studied him, and they couldn't find anything that he was doing because it was Mel. It was Mel's consciousness and Mel's love.
There you go.
In these people that actually was the technique. It wasn't just a job. And the same way with you. It's your love and you're seeing the potential in these beings. You know, you're not just going in doing a job.
That's right.
You actually are in love with the kids. And in love with God. And in love with your task, even though it does get difficult at times.
That's right.
And then that's what the kids, because those kids can smell BS.
Okay.
They can smell it a mile away.
A mile away, that's right.
But they see that you are authentic and you really, really care for them. And then they respond to it.
That's
I on behalf of all of these wonderful beings that you have set free in their heart and their parents and just the community at large, you know, I just want to thank you for the great work you're doing, the great work you've done on yourself, and that led to the birth of the play and birth of the Spirit Awakening Foundation, of which we're all a part of. Just want to say thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Michael, for agape. Thank you so much. Thank you, Reverend Coco, Reverend Julie, Revs, all the extraordinary ministers that have come out of agape. I mean, really, you know, and the practitioners, the beloved community. It really is the beloved community. And thank you for being so generous. You are one of the most generous beings on the planet. And I, for one, am so deeply grateful and thankful. And I love you.
And I love you. Before you go, say a little phrase in Ga, please.
In Ga? Oh, sure. Well, mismo bo Reverend Michael, atana mo oba jowo ni min daboshin. Ofani bahoshida minikida. I said, I love you, Reverend Michael. God, Thank you. You have blessed us always in all ways, and we are grateful. And thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. You're doing a great work. I just saw that Lily Doolin was looking, and she's doing great work with giving grief meaning with her book and her way that she's a great student, the way that she's touching. I love these students that are going out and making a mighty difference.
Yes.
And you're right there, Akuyo. So appreciate you. We will see you in a few moments on the Zoom call.
Okay, great.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So everyone, that is Akuyo Graham, the great being that emerged from Charlotte, emerged from the oppressive condition in Great Britain to discover herself, her authentic self. And because of that, is making a mighty difference in countless young people's lives. Everyone can't do what Akuyo can do, but everyone can do something. Provide the context for your own healing, your own revelation as to who you are, and then ask, what is it that is mine to do? I'll see you on Sunday, 3 services at agapelive.com or our Facebook page or YouTube. Dynamic Blessings. And remember, we always have a Friday evening community gathering at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time on Agape's Facebook page. You're going to love it.